If you could only buy 3 ETFs in 2026, which ones would you choose? Today, I will walk you through the exact funds I would go heavy on, and more importantly, why. These aren't just a safe place, they're poised for serious growth. Before we dive in, let's take a quick step back. ETFs have become the backbone of modern investing, offering diversification, flexibility, and low costs all in one package. Last year alone, ETF assets under management grew by over 20%, and millions of investors are using them to build long-term wealth. When I say I would go heavy on a few ETFs, I don't mean putting all your money in one place. I mean strategically allocating your capital, balancing a strong core holding, a growth-focused satellite, and a safety net to protect your portfolio. This approach gives you the potential for serious upside while keeping risk in check. Hello, I'm Dr. Z, a university professor and a long-term investor. I share what I know, what I have learned, and what I'm still learning. I created this channel to help you make better financial decisions. Now, let's start with the foundation. The ETF I consider essential for any portfolio. This first pick is all about building your core, the engine that drives most of your long-term returns. This is going to be my first pick for the ETF. It's about broad market, your core holdings. When we talk about a broad market ETF, we're talking about owning a slice of the overall US economy, not just one sector or one trend. This is different from a narrow index or thematic ETF. A broad market ETF gives you exposure to hundreds, sometimes thousands of companies across industries. Now, think of it this way. Instead of trying to guess which company or sector will win next, you're betting on long-term economic growth itself. For most investors, this should be the foundation of the portfolio. A few solid examples here include ETFs like VTI, which tracks the total US stock market, or VOO, which follows the S&P 500. These funds are low cost, highly diversified, and extremely tax efficient, which matters more than most people realize over time. Historically, the US stock market has returned about 9 to 10% annually over the long run, despite the recessions, rate hikes, wars, and market crashes. That type of consistency is why this category deserves the longest and the largest allocation in most portfolios. Looking ahead to 2026, there are still strong macro tailwinds, productivity gains, innovation, population growth, and a likely shift towards a more stable monetary policy over time. No guarantees, of course, but long-term trend remains intact. This is not the exciting part of the portfolio. And that's exactly the point, right? So your core holding is there to compound steadily, reduce the risk, and give you staying power when markets get volatile. Now that we have built a strong foundation, let's talk about where you can intentionally take more risk. The area designed to boost the returns, not just match the market. That's going to be our second pick. It's about thematic growth, AI, tech, and semiconductors. Artificial intelligence isn't short-term trends. It's a multi-year productivity shift that's already changing how companies operate, how data is processed, and how profits are generated. And at the center of all this is one critical layer. It's about semiconductors. Every AI model, every data center, every automation system runs on chips. That's why semiconductors have become the backbone of the AI economy. Now, one targeted way to express this theme is through SMH, the VanEck Semiconductor ETF. Well, it focuses on the companies building the hardware behind AI, the chip designers, the manufacturers, and the equipment suppliers. If you want a broader AI exposure beyond just the hardware, AIQ offers access to companies developing and applying AI across multiple industries. For investors who prefer a more established growth approach, you may choose QQQ. It provides exposure to many of the largest and most innovative tech leaders, while VUG captures fast-growing companies across the broader US market, not just the technology. Now, this is important. Thematic ETFs are more volatile. They can outperform significantly, but they can also pull back sharply when expectations run ahead of fundamentals. Now, this is why this should never replace your core holding. Okay, so it's a satellite position, right? Designed to enhance the returns, not carry the entire portfolio. The long-term case here is very simple. Demand for computing powers is rising faster than the supply of the advanced chips. That creates a pricing power, margin expansion, and long-term growth, but only if you're willing to stay invested through the cycles. This is not a trade. It is a conviction-based long-term allocation. Even with the strong growth themes, a well-built portfolio still needs protection because markets don't move in straight lines. Now that brings our next pick for diversification and hedge. It's not sexy, it's strategic because markets don't go up forever. As you look towards 2026, diversification matters more than most investors realize. Now, after this long period of strong equity performance, markets tend to rotate. Leadership changes, volatility increases, and the portfolios that rely just on one theme often feels the most stress. Now, one way to reduce that concentration is global exposure, right? So you can use ETFs like VT or VXUS, allow you to participate in growth outside the US, including the developed and emerging markets. The benefit here is balance. If the US market shows slows down or valuations comprises, international market can help smooth overall return. The trade-off is that global ETFs can underperform for extended periods, but over full market cycles, they add resilience. Another layer of diversification comes from real assets, right? So especially the precious metals, right? You may buy something like the gold ETFs, right? Something like the IAU, right? So they have historically acted as a hedge during inflation periods, currency uncertainty, or market stress. They're not growth engines, but they can help preserve purchasing powers, like silver ETFs, such as SLV, right? So, at a slightly different dynamic. Silver has both monetary and industrial uses, which means it can benefit from economic growth, but it also comes with higher volatility. Now, this part of portfolio isn't about maximizing returns. It's about reducing downturns, maintaining flexibility, and helping you stay invested when market become unpredictable. Now that we have covered the foundation, the growth engine, and the diversification layer, the final step is deciding how much goes where. Let's talk about allocation strategy and how to tailor this portfolio to your financial goals. Now, when it comes to allocation, there's no single perfect one. It really comes down to your goals, your time horizon, and how comfortable you're with ups and downs. Because having a simple framework makes this a lot easier. Now below, I will give you a clear, straightforward way to think about it. A simple starting point for many long-term investors might look something like this. You may have 50% for core broad market ETF, 30% growth ETF like AI, the tech, the semiconductor, 20% for diversification ETFs, global exposure, the gold and silver. Now, this structure gives you broad market stability, targeted growth, and downside protection without overcomplicating things. Now, if you are more conservative and you really don't like volatility, you might lean a little bit heavier into the core. In that case, you're looking at something closer to 60% core, 20% growth, and 20% for diversification. If you're more balanced, right, which is where a lot of long-term investors end up with, then staying in that, like 45 to 55% core, 25 to 35% growth, and 15 to 20% diversification, right? So that range usually makes great sense. Now, if you're aggressive with a long-term horizon and you can handle bigger swings without panic selling, you might flip that a bit, right? So you may go something like 30 to 40% for the core, 40 to 50% for growth, and 10 to 15 for diversification. Now, the most important thing here isn't finding the perfect percentages. It's picking an allocation that you can stick with. Rebalancing one thing well and letting time and consistency do the heavy lifting. All right, with that framework in place, let's quickly wrap this up and talk about what I want you to take away from this video. Now, for 2026, the way I think about this is pretty simple. You start with a strong core ETF. That's your foundation and your long-term engine. Then you add growth ETFs like AI, tech, semiconductors. That's where innovation and upside comes from. And finally, right? So you balance it out with diversification. You may want to use global exposure and real assets like precious metals, gold and silver, right? Not because it's exciting, but because it helps you stay invested when market get unpredictable. The overall goal here isn't to chase the hottest trade. It's to build a portfolio you actually understand, trust, and can stick with throughout 2026 and beyond. If you want to know my top 5 stock picks for 2026, you may look at this video. All right, everyone, let's together make better financial decisions.